So up next, we would like to welcome back Tatiana, who was presented at a previous part of this symposium, who is examining a novel online.
Perfect. So thank you everyone for joining in to learn more about coaching fidelity. So to put you in perspective, we have our Bright Coaching randomized clinical trial that is one of the research projects within the Child Bright Network. And we're looking at the efficacy of a health coaching intervention that is delivered online over a 6 to 9 month period to parents of children with suspected or emerging developmental challenges who are waiting for services. So this is, of course, a very stressful and a vulnerable time for families. So we're looking at empowering parents and also them to build resilience and improve other different outcomes such as stress and well-being. So Bright Coaching consists of 14 different sessions that are provided by our 4 coaches who are located in different provinces of Canada, namely British Columbia, Manitoba, Quebec, and Nova Scotia. We have 1 lead coach who trained extensively our coaches and also provided ongoing supervision and guidance. And given that our coaches work in those different geographical locations and also in more or less isolated ways, we wanted to make sure that first they're skilled in providing the Bright coaching intervention and also that their skills align with the intervention goals. However, given that the whole concept of health coaching in childhood disability and also when it's delivered online, it's a fairly new and emergent strategy, there are no available tools and guidelines on how to measure this coaching fidelity. So we decided to develop our own tool and to implement it. We called it the CoFidel. This stands for Coaches Fidelity in Intervention Delivery. So I would briefly outline some of the developmental procedures. So we've conducted a rapid literature review that was extracted from a much more comprehensive systematic review that we did on health coaching interventions applied worldwide in the context of childhood disability. And we were able to identify just a handful of studies that spoke about coaching fidelity. And the information that we were able to extract from those studies is that there's a generally accepted threshold of coaching fidelity that is equal to 80 to 85%. So we took this information and consulted further with experts in the field of child development and in the field of coaching and decided to implement 2 components in the tool. Those are the motivational interviewing skills and the solution-focused interview skills. So in fact, those are the 2 strategies that our coaches were trained on to provide the Bright coaching intervention. So it made only a lot of sense to evaluate them based on those strategies. Motivational interview skills and solution-focused interview skills are both used in our program to encourage parents to become active participants in the process by evoking their intrinsic motivation for change. And also we want to empower them with those techniques to help them find long-lasting solutions to their problems and effect real change in their lives as they're facing the challenges in the development of their child. So the CoFidel has 4 rateable sections that are averaged to obtain an overall fidelity score, where higher means better. We have the first section, which is an overview of the coach delivering the content and the coach's attitude. So for instance, does the coach respect the timeline of the session and follows the content of that session? We have section 2 that is referred to a global rating based on the motivational interviewing skill code. So the extent to which the coach uses acceptance, empathy, collaboration, and evocation skills. We have the third section that is referred to behavioral counts from the motivational interviewing. So there are some consistent behaviors and inconsistent ones. Of course, we want our coaches to use the consistent MISC responses, and those refer to things such as using open-ended question, reflecting, reframing, supporting the client, emphasizing control, affirming, and advising with permission. Versus inconsistent responses are those, for instance, where the coach confronts, directs, warns, and advice without permission. So if our coach uses a lot of consistent responses within their session, their score would be high for this particular section of the CoFidel. And the last element refers to the global ratings based on the solution-focused interviewing skills. So this is the extent to which the coach uses complementing, tolerating silences, affirming perceptions, and returning the focus to the client. So the COFIDEL is completed by the lead coach following each coaching session within the pilot phase of our randomized clinical trial. And this was provided back to the coach and discussed with them if needed. So I decided to show you one element from the COFIDEL. So this is the section 2, the global coach rating based on the motivational interviewing skill code. So following the audio recording review of the coaching session, the lead coach in the section on acceptance could rate a 7 if hopefully our coach communicated with acceptance, respect, was being warm and supportive during the session, or they could score them a 1, hopefully not, if the coach was judgmental, harsh, or condescending in any way, or they can score them anywhere in between. So this gives you already a good idea about how useful this could be for the coaches when they're getting back their evaluation, and they can really see where they've made, what kind of skills have they used, and where they are on a scale, and what they can improve in their future sessions. Objectives with the use of the COFIDEL was to determine the extent of the coaching fidelity and its change over time when providing the intervention. So we wanted to know if our coaches actually improve in their fidelity. And also, since it's a new tool that we just developed for the coaches, we wanted to seek their opinion as to the usefulness and the satisfaction with the tool. So we did that using a mixed method approach, where we submitted a questionnaire to our coaches containing Likert scale and open questions to get quantitative and qualitative feedback on the use of this tool. So in terms of result, we again have the 4 coaches A, B, C, and D. I would emphasize that those letters do not correspond in any way to the geographical location ranging from west to east or east to west of Canada. They are completely randomly assigned. So we have 11 parents who completed the entire pilot phase of the Bright coaching program. And for instance, we have 3 parents who completed it with Coach B and 2 parents who completed it with Coach A, and so on. So 152 coaching sessions were performed and 137 COFIDELs were issued. I can speak to the discrepancies in the numbers in the discussion period. So on average, our coaches needed only 4.2 sessions to achieve and to maintain a fidelity rating of 85% or more in all 4 sections of the tool, which is great to see. And the overall fidelity, so that big number we're looking for, ranged from 88% to 99.6%, which is quite high. And I think also speaks to the fact that we've provided them with an excellent training before we launched the pilot phase of our randomized clinical trial. So if we were to look individually at the coaches, I just want to show you a couple of examples of how some of them have improved. So those are the results for Coach B, who completed the Bright coaching program with 3 different participants, here symbolized by 3 different colors. This is the results of the COFIDEL for section 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the overall fidelity, which is the average from the 4 sections. Also to note that, for instance, the result here that relates to section 1, the delivery and the attitude of the COFIDEL, this corresponds to an average of all the 14 sessions that the coach provided to this participant 1. So hence, this is also why you see a standard deviation. So in this coach, we noted that they've improved considerably on section 1 of the COFIDEL from their first participant to their 3rd participant. So you can note a very similar looking graph for our Coach C, who completed the Bright coaching program with 2 individuals. And what we found is that this coach improved significantly on section 4 of the COFIDEL, so in their abilities to provide solution-focused interviewing skills, and also in the overall fidelity on the COFIDEL's evaluation. As to the feedback on the use of the COFIDEL from the coaches, we note that 2 to 3 out of the 4 of them are moderately to very much satisfied with the COFIDEL's content, format, administration frequency, understandability and comprehensiveness, as well as the relevance to their training need, the usefulness to them as a coach. They also moderately to very much feel assured and motivated when reviewing the results of the COFIDEL. They feel also understood and supported by the lead coach, and they think that they benefit from the use of this tool. The responses to the open-ended questions were summarized using a thematic approach, and some facilitators emerged, namely that the CoFidel was useful for skills improvement and maintenance. It's a comprehensive tool, and also it helped coaches to validate their skill alignment with the intervention. So for instance, a coach here states that it has been useful to know that my work is in line with the chosen strategies of the program. We work in an isolated way, and I do sometimes wonder if my work is what the research team is hoping it to be. So getting feedback through the CoFidel helps with that, which is a really encouraging comment to witness, given that we've participated heavily in the development and the implementation of this tool. Of course, some challenges also emerged. For instance, is the CoFidel applicable to all sessions within the Bright coaching program? It has a bit of a snapshot nature to it, perhaps some missing elements as well, and a possible ceiling effect where a coach states that my scores are usually quite good, but there is, of course, still room for improvement. However, the improvements that I want or need to make don't always come across on the form. So in conclusion, the overall fidelity was higher than the 85% threshold for all of our coaches in the first round of providing the Bright coaching intervention. It also remained high for subsequent participants of each coach, and for one of them, it actually improved considerably from the first to the second participant. And 2 coaches showed significant improvements over time in certain sections of the tool. They highly appreciated this tool in validating and improving their skills as they delivered the Bright coaching program. Some challenges were reported, and we want to address them to further improve our measure. And here are some limitations that are linked to our project is that only the lead coach administered the CoFidel. This also happens to be the person who trained our coaches, so there could be some potential bias. Also, we have a small sample size of coaches and of pilot participants. Nevertheless, given that the Bright coaching spans over 14 sessions, we think that we actually issued an adequate number of CoFidels to our coaches. And I want to leave you with the current uses and the impacts of applying CoFidel in our trial. So currently, this tool is used to assess randomly selected sessions as the randomized clinical trial is underway, because we want to make sure that our coaches maintain high-level skills when providing the intervention. Also, if the coach reports challenges or needs more guidance, this session is assessed in addition to the randomly picked one. And we think that by applying CoFidel in our trial, this really supports the validity of our future findings and also would favor the standardization of our method and also hopefully the generalizability of this program if we were to apply it, implement it in real-life clinical settings. So you have my email address below if you want to reach out to discuss more those results. This is also being currently reviewed for a publication. So once this is out, you'll be able to get it a full publication through the Child Bright resources. And I would be happy to answer questions that you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tatiana, for sharing that tool that is seemingly of benefit to the coaches and ensuring that their skills are consistent, and that they feel that they are improving them with those sessions. So it seems like we are getting a few questions on the message board, so that's great. So give us a moment, we'll upload them to the online platform. But maybe to get us started real quick, Tatiana, for the training that these coaches experienced before they started, I was wondering if you could perhaps comment on what that looked like.
Yeah, so the training actually spanned over a few months before we even launched the pilot phase of clinical trial, and it included face-to-face activities and also online activities that coaches participated together. Some of them were individual with the lead coach, some of them were in a group, and they've used different methods such as case studies and problem solving, different case studies in fact, and they were mainly trained on the motivational interviewing skill code and on the solution-focused interviewing skills. Yeah.
Okay,
so
great.
that's about their training. Yeah.
All right, so I'm just cognizant of the time, Tatiana, so hopefully you'll give you enough time to answer them, but if not, of course, we can always follow up with you afterwards. Thanks for sharing your email. So the 2 questions we have online right now are how the coaches originally selected, did they have any previous qualifications or experience? And I guess he has commented on how long the training takes.
Yeah, so the coach, one of our 4 coaches happens to be a social worker, but it's the only one. The other 3 have some interest and also some experience in child and family health. However, they're not healthcare professionals, and this was done on purpose so that we can then use those results, and it's more generalizable afterwards if we want to implement this as a real program. Yeah.
All right, wonderful.
And in terms of the second question about psychometric properties, so it hasn't been shown for now to be valid or reliable. This is the second phase, so if we want to measure the psychometric properties, that's a whole other study.
Okay, great. And the next one we have listed as well is was the scale, the co-fidelity scale you developed, should be valid and reliable in measuring the fidelity of the coaches?
Yeah, so exactly this was what I was referring to. So validity and reliability are psychometric properties.
Oh, I see.
So after having developed the tool and pilot tested, that's like a second phase of research where psychometric properties are to be studied.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we look forward to the publication. Hopefully, we get some heads up on that down the road, and we hopefully be able to share that with everyone and learn a bit more about the work.